In today's video, I'm going to be going through some of my purchases over the last few weeks. And before you ask, what the hell do I care about what you've been buying? I make these videos just because I think it'd be interesting for people to see myself as a Pokemon store owner, the kind of things that I am buying, whether that be to kind of run and regulate my store or whether they be for my own kind of personal collection. So with that, I'm just going to, as I said, go through some purchases that I've made over the last few weeks. I've made similar videos before, talking usually through specific months of purchases. I just haven't made one in the last few months. So today is basically going to be, I guess, for the month of July in that sense, but generally it is just like probably the last couple of weeks already that I've bought these things. But I won't waste any more time and we'll get straight into the things that I have been buying, as I said. So first things first, I have been picking up some cheaper graded cards. The reason why I do that and have been doing that is just because the cards themselves seem to do reasonably well. So when I say reasonably well, I mean they sell reasonably well. So here we've got quite a few PSA 9 Mint Charmanders. Again, there's the reason why they do so well and as well as they do is because there's a lot of people out there who do, of course, enjoy Pokemon but don't necessarily want to be spending an enormous amount of money doing so. So for that reason, they might want to pick up cards usually within, I'd say, like if you're not buying singles and you're not like a kind of set collector person, you probably will be looking within the region of like 15 to 25 to 35 to even 40 pounds or dollars, whatever currency you like to use when you're purchasing these kinds of things. And obviously you talk about a popular Pokemon as well, a nice PSA slab, a decent grade, and got yourself a little bit of a recipe for success. What usually happens, of course, and the reason why, again, sometimes these are kind of plentiful picking up. So here I've got some Mew promos from this is obviously the classic Mew number 8 promos and non-holo as well. And again, these are all number 9s. These are all PSA 9, so we've got a decent number here. The reason why these are usually plentiful and easy to collect and purchase even, and as I said, it's not like I've graded these myself, I've purchased these off other collectors, is that they themselves will be attempting to grade like a bulk number of these cards over and try and get as many 10s as they can. And obviously when they get those returns, they're going to get a decent number of 9s regardless, unless they're very, very strict with the kind of cards that they're sending. In that sense, I'm ready there to kind of scoop up all of those 9s, pick them up at a good price hopefully, and then as I said, they're good sellers, right? So I list them on my own store and hopefully they sell, and I'm able to kind of scoop up something out of doing exactly that. I also bought quite a lot of these, and I'm sure you've seen these before. It is the Chinese SVP, so it's the Scarlet and Violet promo, the number 1 promo from Scarlet and Violet. So it is a Pikachu, but then obviously you've got the 3 Paldean starters as well. These are very plentiful and very common. However, I didn't kind of want to miss out on not purchasing these. Got them at a decent price as well, direct from China. I think right now they're probably a little bit up already from when I ordered it, because I did order these about a month ago. And I just thought I noticed that they were selling quite quickly, quite rapidly, and there seemed to be fewer and fewer. They're still certainly plentiful, but I just seemed to notice there were fewer of them, probably just because people were kind of bored and moved on to the next thing. I know a lot of people have bought those, so it's not like they're going to be anything crazy. So those are basically, we might as well show you, boxes just full of these promos. And as I said, got them at a good price, so don't really see a problem with doing that. I'm realistically going to sell most of them and then probably just keep maybe half a box or something, which would probably be about 30 or 40 for myself, and I imagine maybe in a year's time it might jump up a little bit, because they are really popular. It's a lovely art, right? You can probably show you even closer to the camera, like it is a really nice art. And sorry about the lighting in this video, at least with the front camera. I'll certainly sort that out for the next video, but you can see here that it's a lovely art, and with that, it's a really popular card. The Chinese version is a lot cheaper than the Japanese probably similar price to the English, so it is certainly accessible and easy to grade. So there's a lot of reasons to pick up that card in particular, and as I said, I can go through those all day, and that's can pick out a few reasons for why I did it. I've also been at the same time, so this is kind of more of a personal thing, I picked up just a bunch of promos. So I think it was 75 promos, and I paid around $60 for those, if not a little less. I think that's the price. It says it on the tab here, so that's probably the case. These are all Sword and Shield V promos. The reason why I actually picked those up was because I'm attempting to complete a full binder set of Sword and Shield promos. It was a bit of a random thing, but I've wanted to do it for a while, just because I've been doing a similar thing with Sun and Moon as well. It's one of those things that I don't think a lot of people necessarily do, or they're just not, I guess they just don't talk about it, right? Because it's such an easy, not an easy thing to do, certainly not with the Sun and Moon and X and Y, for example, but it's like a nice collection goal to have, right? Just collecting all the promos from a specific era, and that's the reason why I'm doing it. Have a lot of promos lying around, obviously, anyway, just from picking up collections and the sort. So now the goal is, again, as I said, I've got to complete the Sun and Moon binder, and I've got to complete the Sword and Shield binder, so that's going to help me with a lot of those. And because there's a lot of dupes of those cards, they seem to be reasonably well priced. I think I paid even less for them. I do need to double check how much I paid for that, but I don't think it was $60. I think it was less. I think it was reduced. But as I said, there's a few decent. I'll take the ones that I need for my set and then sell the remainder. There's a few in there, like there's a Meowth VMAX promo that are worth a few dollars each. So I'll probably list those cards. Otherwise, they'll probably go into some random booster, like mystery booster stuff, that kind of stuff as well. So here's a few more slabs too. So I saw these Shining Legends Holo, shiny Volcanions again. Pick those up because it's the 10 in this card's not too expensive. It's like maybe 50 or 60 pounds at least, but the 9s I can list them reasonably cheap, still have a decent kind of margin for myself, and I'm pretty sure they'll go quite quickly. Can't go wrong picking up the the stained glass birds. Neither can you go wrong with evolutions. Again, another good seller. So let me show these off a little bit better than I'm doing right now with my kind of 8 hands, not being able to do that properly. Amazing rare Celebi. Not the biggest fan of the amazing rares in terms of like grading them, because this is so common and there's so many of them, but it was really cheap, and that's the main reason I picked this up. This one was a bit random. Again, I picked this up because it was pretty cheap. I think I paid like $20 for it, if not a bit less, and I think I could certainly sell it for more than that. And yeah, you can see the nice foil pattern as well. It is a Venusaur too, so I'm sure that will go. It's from Shining Legends too, so that's more to the Shining Legends pile. I've got a Detective Pikachu holo here. You can barely tell it's a holo. That lighting is obviously not helping as well. And then yeah, it's a very dark holo. You can barely tell that's the case. We've been picking up just a few German base set first edition cards, just because I think they're not the worst price, and I managed to pick them up at a decent price as well. So that's another one there. I think this goes for like well over 100 euros. For those who don't know, euros and dollars are close to parity. They're probably about $1.10 to the euro right now. I'm not exactly 100% on that, but yeah, it'll probably go for about that much, and I got it significantly cheaper than that, thankfully. And then here's a Chrome Staryu. Graded quite a few Topps Chrome cards recently. I don't think I'm going to be keeping that, because I have the ones that I want to keep. So probably gonna. Not really sure actually. I won that on an auction. Probably paid a bit more than I should have ready. All things considered, but we'll see. I'll probably just keep a hold of it if that's the case. Then we've got a few other random PSA 10s. We've got some fossil cards. These, similar to the kind of PSA 9s I was showing off earlier, they're well priced. not too expensive, nice round 10 numbers as well, popular sets. Like, they do sell reasonably well. If you can pick them up cheap, you're going to do well there. And then just some cheap promos too. Paid roughly around like $15 for these, and that's the cost of grading right now anyway, so hopefully not doing too bad on those. Another Celebi from Vivid Voltage, another amazing rare, and then another Steam Siege card. This time it is the Steelix EX. So let me shove that over there, and then I'm gonna get the last pile of graded cards here. So that's gonna be a little more evolution. So let me just get that centered as well. A bit more evolutions. Charmander from Hidden Fates. I think that's actually for myself. I got this rainbow. So this is the Hidden Fates secret rare, right? The secret rare. Birds, 3 birds. Again, I just think I picked that up at a decent price. Same with the Aether Foundation employees. Of course, this is the full art trainer, and it's got a woman on the front, but it's not that kind of. I guess she's too old to kind of get that much attention from Pokemon fans, so that's not a particularly expensive card. Obviously, ridiculously mass produced as well, which is why Hidden Fate's still seeing a really large number. And have seen a really large number of Hidden Fates cards just everywhere the last couple of years, because there was just such a huge reprint in 2021. There were just so many ETBs printed, and that really just dragged the price down, and the price did rebound reasonably quickly with that, but then it kind of stayed pretty stable. But the singles, in my opinion, are really cheap. I've got a complete binder set basically. I think I'm missing just the Charizard just because I didn't really fancy paying for it. I was going to get it in the 10 and then just didn't end up picking it up. But I do think I have also noticed they've been creeping up a little over time, so I can't imagine they're going to get any lower, given that I don't think we're ever going to see more Hidden Fates printed, but you know, you'd be surprised. I'm also sat on binders full of the babies as well that I picked up at a decent price as well, but again, with those, I'm not listing those right now. I'm just holding on to those just because it's not really worth listing $3 singles, at least that many of them as well, and then just doing all that extra work. As of right now, I don't think so. I'd rather probably sell them as a bulk lot and obviously make less money, but certainly save a lot of time. Here's just like a few there's a few alt arts, certainly, that's for sure, that I picked up because I thought they were well priced. And as well, you'll see a couple of I'm sure you already noticed the secret rare, the gold secret rare. So here we've got, of course, we've got the Arceus V, which I did actually open a collection box on YouTube, and I actually packed this card and it graded 10, so don't shut up about that. Obviously not the biggest deal, of course, but it was nice for me. And we've got an Origin from Dialga, that's the secret rare. Picked up quite a few of these Palkia V alt arts. I do think this card is actually underrated. I think this is insanely awesome art. Maybe it just doesn't appeal to Pokemon fans in the sense that it's got a very kind of specific artistic style. Probably appeals more to, like, I don't know, actual art fans potentially, not just people who like weird colorful animals like we do. Again, I picked up a load of these. What's that, like 5, 6 of them. Picked up an Ice Rider Calyrex V. These Rayquazas seem to be pretty low. I saw a post on Reddit the other day saying, you know, how low can these things go? And there's certainly room for them to go lower, but I did bite and I did purchase a few. We've got some Genesects, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Genesects too. This lovely Beedrill card. I think this is also another one that's gonna, I mean, it's not crazy expensive at all right now, but you know, art's just fantastic, and I can't help but thinking it's gonna do reasonably well. Maybe not be a $100 card anytime soon, but certainly more than, like, I think the 15 that I paid when I picked them up. And then we've got some Aerodactyl V's. Again, this card, awesome art, amazing. Just, yeah, I mean, one of the pinnacles of the Sword and Shield era, in my opinion, coming towards the end in Lost Origin, of course. And again, I just thought the price was good, so I bit and bought 3 copies of that. And then I've got some Reggie Drago cards, so that's another 5 of those, 5 Skuntank, and then a Medicham at the end. So that's a decent number of alt arts. That's certainly is a few alt arts there. As I said, going to take a better look. I think I'm going to hold on to a few of the higher end ones, just like the Rayquazas and the Aerodactyls. I think, as I said, prices look pretty good to me, given how difficult it is to obviously pack specific alt arts. And I mean, the Rayquaza VMAX is about $250 to $300, so this one being like a third of the price, I think's not a bad pickup at all, actually. So that's the reason why I picked those up. And then those are kind of the graded, obviously some sealed stuff, some alt arts as well. And then the final things I bought really were a bunch of singles. So it's like one thing I really like ensure that I stay on top of, to kind of, as I said, maintain my store, as I was inferring at the beginning of the video. And the one thing that does a lot of that are the single cards. So the single cards, again, just kind of lower barrier to entry. So let me just separate these out because I did buy this separately. Yes, lower barrier to entry. So and they're certainly more collectible, just people who don't want to faff around with grading, which I can really understand, to be honest. I was watching Professor Oak and the Greenshiz on their, I think, last week's podcast video, and they were saying, I think Oak was saying something like, it's, it'd be so much easier if we didn't actually have to bother with grading, and we could just actually do, I mean, if it's all about the money, right, if we were able to just flip single cards and not have to worry about the grading, life would be so much more enjoyable, at least for him. And I kind of resonated with that a little bit, just because everyone's like, yeah, you got to get the card and it has to be mint so you can grade it and maximize and get the most money out of it. But as with like most things, they, these kind of things that you first kind of enjoy as collectibles and just things to kind of do for your own enjoyment, eventually just become gamified, right? And then the next thing you're doing stuff like this, you're buying a bunch of singles and finding the best looking ones and then grading them and then selling them, right? So I think it is just a consequence of kind of wider society, which I'm sure we can get into a long discussion about. But I did, as I said, I really resonated with his point about it just being a lot nicer if it was single cards. And for me, the best way to view cards is always in a binder. And just like, those alt arts, for example, imagine I just pick out a binder page and I have just a binder page full of like these kind of cards, right? Just a binder full of those, a binder page full of those Palkia alt arts, for example, right? I think would be really, really awesome and much better than just looking at the card in a PSA graded slab. But I won't talk too much more about that. I'm going to talk instead about this. So this is a bunch of promos. So I think roughly like got a decent number of promos here. It's mostly kind of cheaper end promos I got in this lot. And then at the end we've got a Charizard from Celebrations, and of course a Mew as well. So those two are the kind of only really real standouts here, and the rest, as I said, are just a bunch of promos. But a lot of Pikachu promos, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with those. Basically the ones that are at the front and the Mews, for example, I will probably list. If not, again, another thing worth putting in like graded mystery packs that I have been doing recently and have still, it can be a lot of work putting them together, but I have enjoyed. If you kind of didn't know, I've been testing a few things out in terms of like mystery bundles and mystery packs and stuff. I don't really enjoy doing it because it's a lot of like putting things together and picking out 50 cards and picking out the a bunch of ultra rares and hits and all that kind of stuff. Don't really particularly enjoy that too much. I was doing it quite a while ago when I first started up on eBay, just because it was a nice way of buying bulk and separating them out. It was, it's good. You can make money from it pretty consistently, but it does take. It's kind of one of those where you're certainly putting in more work than you are with a lot of other ways, even than just buying and selling singles directly, right? However, I did start selling it's basically a mystery booster, and you're guaranteed a hit. So at that point I can kind of price it up a little higher, because let's be honest, most people doing like mystery boosters and stuff, they're going to fill them with pretty shitty cards, and yeah, most of the time you're going to be disappointed. I kind of don't want to put everyone down, but that's been my experience buying mystery, whatever it might be, 10 card mystery boosters or like mystery bundles and that sort. Again, at the end of the day, they're trying to run a business or make money separating out bulk cards, so it's not like they're not putting the work in, but generally don't really get anything good. But what I've been doing, as I said, is just making it less effort by making it a mystery booster, so it is just 10 cards in a sleeve, and then you do always get a guaranteed hit, and I do try and put a decent card in there. It is not just a like a a cheap V card. Sometimes it is. Most of the time it's actually something decent. For me, it's a kind of combination between getting rid of cards I don't want, being the bulk cards that I have lying around, and at the same time I also have, because I've just been running the store for so long at this point, I have bulk, like kind of ultra rares, cheaper ultra rares, but I still try and make them somewhat worthwhile, and certainly worthwhile when I'm putting together those bundles. Anyway, my kind of point of mentioning that is as I said, have been enjoying doing that, and I've had people like purchasing 10 at a time, for example, and I'm just like, oh bloody, I've got to put 10 of them together. But I do make sure that the cards in there are pretty good, and they're hopefully going to get a good hit, and they're going to be happy with it. And I think when you're guaranteeing a hit, right, it's just such a different experience to the amount of booster packs where you open and you get nothing, and I'm charging the same as a booster pack. So I don't think it's a bad deal at all. Could be a bit more prepared, right, and put them all, kind of prepare them all in advance. But such is life, where you are never really on track like you wish to be. Otherwise, I'll continue going through the singles before I can, as I said before, I just keep rambling on. Bunch of Greninja Gold Stars. Again, I'm just picking them up whenever I find them at a good price. I got a few of these Illustrator contest cards. Not too many, to be honest. But I certainly think these are worth picking up more in the future. A few, just again, these are just cards that you'll find on my store, multiple numbers of, and I'm just kind of topping things up, I guess, and keeping things smooth and keep running through, and yeah, keeping things listed, basically just keeping inventory high in the store, right? That's the main thing. There's Venusaur. The celebrations cards do really well. Again, more celebrations here with the Mew. This Mewtwo card, for example, as well. Like, I often just get people coming and buying quite a few of the celebration cards, which obviously works for me. Saves me a little bit of postage as well, which is always nice. And then keep going. More celebrations, of course. Full face guard. One thing I actually want to mention is I've been picking up these Umbreon cards, of course, generally, but the Gold Star Celebrations Umbreon. I think right now the Japanese copy is ridiculously expensive, and it's the same for the starters, I believe, as well. Don't know the exact prices, but I know when we had the recent kind of boom in Japanese cards, they certainly followed that trend. But I have been explicitly picking up these cards for between like $15 to $20, and I'm not selling those at all. I'm literally piling those up. I think at this point I've got a couple of pages of them, yeah, I think it's a fantastic price to be picking them up at. And given, realistically, what are we going to see in regards to celebrations and reprints and that kind of thing? Surely there's not going to be that much of that particular card. Obviously the other cards will come in boost. Generally, I just think, as I said, I can see them disappearing from the market a little bit more. Not that they're particularly rare, I just don't see as many for sale as I used to a few months ago. And then obviously once that happens, imagine the price does shoot up. Just something that I'm speculating on personally. Obviously nothing guaranteed, far from it, but maybe something you might want to look at yourself. And then some amazing rares. I think these are just some interesting cards, potentially ones that I would, as I said, maybe put in those mystery grading packs. I've been basically, at the same time, I've also just been picking up full art trainers that I just see that are cheap, not because I think they're going to do exceptionally well. For example, like no one's really going to want, I don't think Sydney's going to become a husbando or a waifu, whatever it is, anytime soon. But like, I think the price that I was finding them at and picking them up at, just couldn't say no, to be honest. And here's a few, just a final couple of piles of cards, without making this video too long. Here we have probably a few more kind of my regular day-to-day sales on eBay. Just some more secret rares, trainer gallery cards, more secret rares. Obviously Dialga there, another secret rare. We've got some beads, some promos here, picking up a lot of these Charizards. One thing I have been thinking about is that those Charizard UPC cards, right? Some Arceus V-Stars as well. I do enjoy picking up these kind of mid-tier cards. Here's another alt art. I can't. What's wrong with me? The Duraludon alt art there. Yeah. Sorry. I keep going off track. Basically, those Charizard promos, the UPC promos, they're printed so badly. I don't know the numbers for the populations. They're obviously going to be ridiculous given. And obviously we've seen, for example, what's happened with another noise in there. We've seen what's happened with the 50 Sword and Shield 50 promo. It is basically tanked at this point. And it's probably not going to get any cheaper than it is. I think you can probably pick it up for sub $30 at this point. It did hang around $50 for a long time, but that was before PSA like properly opened up. These are all basically double-sided, so you are going to see cards on both sides. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they do compared to the Sword and Shield 50 promo, just because they were printed ridiculous. Like they overprinted the Charizard UPCs, right? If you kind of think of it in a sense where you want the product to follow a kind of normal trajectory in terms of the price when it's released, right? So starts off a little bit high and then it drops pretty quickly once product's available, pretty widely available, and then slowly rises over time. They printed so much of the UPC, and obviously for a reason, right? It was always going to be ridiculously popular. There were $200, $300 pre-orders that people were actually purchasing as well. So it's not like they did anything like too wrong, I guess, in that sense. Not that I should be kind of deciding Pokemon's policy when it comes to that, when it comes to printing, for example. But they was printed so badly as a consequence. Be interesting to see how that does, because I know the the 50 Sword and Shield 50 promo was also similar in that it wasn't printed so well, and it was obviously mass printed in those Champions Path ETBs, but I don't think it was as bad as these Charizards. And obviously we've got 3 Charizards in each one. There's more Umbreons. I think that's again double-sided, so that's another 4 Umbreons. Small Pikachu promos. Yeah, I'd just be interested to see how it does. I personally think that they'll do well, unlike the Sword and Shield 50 promos. That kind of just, it was a different time, of course, right, where they came out and there wasn't too much PSA grading. The pops were high, but the demand, I guess, was still significant in that the price still managed to kind of maintain at that 50 level, that 50 mark. I just wonder how these different Charizard promos will do. Nice Hisuian Lilligant there. Yeah, I wonder how they will do compared to that Sword and Shield 50 promo. It'll be interesting to see. As I said, my kind of prediction or my kind of thought is that they're actually going to do quite a lot better, given that the populations. I mean, I could actually just be wrong, and I could just Google the population to see, but I just don't see them being as high as that 50 promo in the 10. I don't know. It's just a thought I had in my head the other day, because I've clearly purchased a few more there, and they're all. I've literally not received a single one. I've not purchased a single one that was in PSA 10 condition, and that's probably because everyone who does find one is grading it. But still, I know people are doing that a lot more than they've ever done it before, and I'm still picking up 10s all the time. So it's a bit of a scary thought, and a bit of a crazy one. Just something, as I said, I've noticed. Yeah, as I said, guess the best thing we could do is just wait and see what happens, right? So thank you otherwise for checking out the video. I know I did rant a little bit as I was going through. I also am aware that the lighting could do with some work. As my background's completely changed, right? I've just recently moved, and this is one thing that I can obviously improve. The camera seems okay. The kind of face cam seems alright, and the lighting doesn't seem too bad. It's more probably just when I'm showing off cards. Oops. When I'm showing off cards where it needs a bit of improvement. But otherwise, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Let me know what you think of some of the purchases I made. Most of the things here are certainly just to keep the store running. I don't think there's anything too much beyond like the Umbreons. The Umbreons and maybe some of those sealed promos where I'm actually gonna, and the Altots of course, sorry, where I'm actually gonna keep a hold of them for a while and maybe grade and see how I feel about them later on. The rest, just get them listed on eBay and get them sold, basically, is the main thing. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you check out all the other videos I've done on similar thing where I've just talked through the stuff that I bought the previous months. And subscribe if you're not already, of course, and hopefully I'll catch you on the next one.